Okay, everybody, I think we're going to get started. I know that there are people coming into the webinar as we are speaking here. Welcome. I'm Joan Brzezinski, and I direct the China Center at the University of Minnesota. And I thank you for joining us today for our University of Minnesota China Center's Considering China webinar series with Dr. Alex Gu today. Thank you also for your support of the China Center and the Considering China webinar series. I wish to offer our special thanks to Kai Mei and Joseph Terry for their generous support of this program. I want to let you know that there will be a Q&A directly following the presentation. You can submit your questions through the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen, and we'll answer as many questions as possible at the end of the program. At this point, I'd like to introduce you to my colleague and the Associate Director of the China Center, Haiyan Wang. She will introduce the speaker today. Welcome, Haiyan.
Thank you, Joan, and thanks everyone for coming. Dr. Alex Gu is the Vice President of the National Innovation Center for Excellence in Yangtze Delta in China. Prior to his current post, Dr. Gu was the Deputy Executive Director of the Institute of Microelectronics in Singapore and a Principal Scientist at Honeywell International Sensors and Wireless Lab. Can everyone see me? Dr. Gu brings more than 20 years of experience in R&D, management, and commercialization in the field of MEMS sensors. Dr. Gu's work mainly focuses on piezoelectric aluminum nitride, AIN, thin film, and related MEMS sensors, including ultrasonic proximity sensor, piezoelectric microphones and speakers, and ultrasonic flow meters, etc. Dr. Gu is a proud PhD alum of the University of Minnesota. He was in class of 1998. Today, he is connecting from Shanghai at 2 a.m. in the morning. Now, without further ado, Dr. Gu, please.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Joan, and thanks, Haiyan. And this is a presentation sort of followed the October visit to the University of Minnesota Alumni Center, and then it was very gracious for Haiyan to give me an invitation for me to make a presentation to introduce what we do. And today's presentation mainly serves two purposes. Number one is to introduce who we are. Number two is to present possible opportunities for anybody who has interest in looking at the market or starting a business or something in this Yangtze Delta region. So to better define what we do and what we talk about, and I probably want to actually start with an amusing video that you guys probably want to take a look at it, and then that sort of set a good stage of what we're going to talk about. So this is a short interview of Jeffrey Hendon.
Amazing change. I get huge amounts of email asking me to do things. I luckily have an assistant who deals with most of it. I get stopped for selfies in the street, which is, it's very annoying, but if it went away, I'd be disappointed.
But also, you've been teaching for many years at the University of Toronto, and you said after you won the Nobel Prize, they at last gave you an office.
Yes, they didn't think I was worth an office before that. Yeah, it makes an amazing change. I get huge amounts of email asking me to do things. I luckily have an assistant who deals with most of it. I get stopped for selfies in the street, which is, it's very annoying, but if it went away, I'd be disappointed.
But also, you've been teaching for many years at the University of Toronto, and you said after you won the Nobel Prize, they at last gave you an office.
Yes, they didn't think I was worth an office before that.
Okay, so this is a quite amusing video. So, and I started with this for a good reason, and I sort of wanted to introduce you the key differences between the innovation we talk about and the Nobel Prize winning innovation, and also at different stages of innovation, how the society or the academics or the industry recognize this innovation and how they deal with it. So first of all, thank you very much for attending this webinar. And my name is Alex Gu, and I represent the National Innovation Center of Excellence in the Yangtze Delta. So today's topic is Yangtze Delta inviting ecosystem for need-driven problem solvers and startups. So we hope to get people who has interest to pursue opportunities in this region. The talk is going to be divided into 3 sections. One is a broad introduction of the microenvironment of innovations in China, especially in this environment. And second, to introduce who we are as NICE. And then I'm going to talk a few case studies of how NICE works with overseas parties. That includes students, that includes companies, and also include professors or entrepreneurs or entrepreneur to be. So I'd like to start with the horizons of innovation. And if you look at the horizon of innovation starts at the very beginning. Some of these scientific discoveries that's mainly driven by curiosity, and then later that's the stage closer to production is so-called basic research. That's sometimes driven by self-esteem or proud or satisfaction or whatever that might be. And these 2 stages generally are signified with publications such as Cell, Nature and Science, and high-impact journals. And once the basic research or science is proven, it generally moves into the next stage, as called technology development. That's when science is proven, and then we need to make things to work. And then that generally works out or represented by patents or IPs, right? So, and it moves on into the next stage that's called engineering, where technologies get realized into physical objects or things of that sort. And that's generally a development of capabilities. And then intellectually, it is represented by know-hows. Okay, so after the engineering is taken care of, most of them is getting into so-called product mass production, and it represented by products and services. So if you look at the scales of time for these kind of innovations, generally it varies from hundreds of years. For example, Mundell, counting peas, right? And then it's purely out of curiosity. I don't think he noticed that has any real implications when he was making these discoveries. And then for the basic research is on order of 10 years. That's on that kind of units, the 10s, 20s. The video we just saw with Jeffrey Hinton. He started this whole thing like 4 years ago, and then until today, it's probably started showing industrial significance. Technology development generally, runs on the 3-year horizons. It could be a few multiples of 3 years. And once in getting into the engineering side is on the order of 1 year or so. And product mass productions or some improvements of products generally runs on a half-year cycle. Now, if you look at our cell phones and consumer electronics, and that's kind of on that kind of lifestyle. And then if we look at that, and then how are they funded? Okay, so generally you look at the scientific discovery or basic research generally are public funded. And on the other hand, the engineering and product mass production are generally corporate funded. But there is a gap for this technology development. Generally, nobody funds it. And based on my work experience in a Fortune 500 company, and if you look at the funding level, how much is done, how much is funded for product mass production, and over 90% of R&D dollars are spent in that in the corporate, and less than 9% is spending on the engineering aspect of it, and less than 1% is spending on this technology development, which has a longer horizon, more than 3 years ago. So now the other one is, if you look at a technology development, how serious is it? If there's something very serious about a serious technology development, it costs more than $2 million. Let's just use $2 million as a benchmark, and we'll look at how much would $2 million do. Okay, so if you look at, that's probably like a $2 to $3 million. That's probably somewhere between 10 people or so for 3 years. That's probably at best you can do. Maybe it's 15 million a year. That's how much it is. For 3 years, that's a 5 people team works for 3 years. That's a technology that can be done. Now, if you back calculate, and what does that mean in terms of the scale of the company? That means the sales of the company needs to be somewhere between $300 million to $3 billion. So that's a decent sized mid corp. Okay, so mid-sized, mid-cap company. What that really means is that unless you get some sort of cash flow into the smaller companies, the company really has no resources to do technology development. And for the bigger companies, and of course, they have the resources to do it, but they are more need-driven and market-driven. So the reason I wanted to talk a little bit about horizon for innovation is because there's a lot of innovations. Literally, you look anywhere in any horizon of from idea to product, every chain of this is infused with innovation. But what I want to say is today's innovation that we talk about is the so-called in this technology development and engineering in that segment, okay, between these two segments. We're not talking about product mass production innovation. We're not talking about basic research or scientific discovery innovations. So let's see. So now, just now we talk about it, neither the public funding pays a lot of attention, nor the corporate funding pays a lot of attention to the technology development innovation. That actually is the so-called death valley of innovation, where the decoupling happens between academics and the industries. This is especially severe in China. So this is what we want to talk about today. Now, if you are sort of familiar with so-called technology readiness level, let's sort of better define this place. This is generally used in NASA or the aircraft industries. So we are focusing on so-called from TRL 3 or 4 to 7 in that region, which means is a technology validation in labs. Start with that, and then end with product prototypes in corporate environment. So that's the innovation this organization that I represent that's trained focuses on. So we're not doing so-called science or basic research and stuff like that. So now this is something that I like to share with you from my eyes. What are the challenges facing the Chinese industries? Okay, so we main four challenges, and these are very urgent socioeconomic needs for China. Number one is the industry and the academia mismatch. So this is not unique to China. In fact, just now the video shows the academia does not appreciate a $1 trillion industry that's emerging in the cases of Jeffrey Hinton for the AI industry. So what you were taught in the university may not be the ones that you're working in the industry or the industry need. So in China, the universities are struggling to produce industrial-ready engineers. So that's one grand challenge. Second one is because of that, you start to see the graduates' employment plummeting. There's very very big difficulties for the graduates from universities in finding a matching job, or satisfying a matching job in the industry. Sometimes they have to change their major or they change their interests and things of that sort. And then I think the fresh graduates employment rate is not very high. So that's also a social challenge. And these kids are very bright and then just get out of the society. And we don't want them to lose hope and then lost their interest in the majors that they're working on. And on the contrary, there's a recruitment challenge. The industries could not find the right people. The enterprises struggle finding the well-matched employees. And this is very, very strange. And then they also they noticed they couldn't find the, engineers or staffs with sufficient technical capability. And it doesn't have to be engineers, and even for those management staffs or more soft skill staffs, they couldn't find the right skill match. And the fourth one is the innovation gap. There's translation research. Either we don't have people to translate them, or in the university we're inventing something or innovating something that the industry wasn't needing, and or the industry were be able to accept. So with that, I'd like to sort of summarize the pipelines of innovation ideas. Technology, leading talents, and highly skilled engineers are the most urgent socioeconomical needs for the industries in China. And then, in a little bit, I'll try to tell you this is one of the charters or mission statements for the organization that I'm working. So in order to mitigate some of that, and then we realize that the innovation we have to embrace is a so-called open innovation. That's not something that we couldn't do it alone. And this, in fact, this is one of the purposes of this seminar today. At least that's my purpose. And we want to engage on the so-called social innovation with a so-called collaborative innovation approach. Now, the social innovation basically is to address the United Nations so-called Sustainable Development Goals for humanity worldwide. And the Yangtze Delta region prioritized in several critical areas that include, protecting and restoring the ecological environment, and also, advancing water resources, water environment management, and implementing so-called CCUS, carbon capture and utilization and sequestration, and mitigation tension between environment preservation and economic growth. And of course, there's a lot of so-called carbon credits and how that chokes, economic development and all that. That's quite a bit of argument around that. And then hopefully there's some approach that we can find to mitigate that kind. So we, in order for us to work together, of course, we need to be collaborative. And we have quite a bit of examples that we have done so, right? So in the 80s and in the 2019s, and then or 1990s, if you look at the China so-called first Shanghai automobile industry, companies, who has probably the first one in China to start working with Volkswagen and establish the venture capital. If I noticed some of the audience are from China, you probably are quite familiar with so-called Santana and those few models that was done. It was so prevalent in China at the time. So, and what I want to say is that the Yangtze Delta region has this collaborative environment, is very open, and this is deeply rooted in the culture of this area. So having said that, I'd like to introduce who we are and where we're from. So start with where are we from? And so, for those who are not from China, and Yangtze Delta, Yangtze stands for a river, as one of the longest river, or highest flow, volumetric flow river in China. It starts from the Tibet Plateau and reach the ocean in Shanghai. So the Yangtze Delta is basically this river towards the very end of the river before it reaches the sea. And it includes Shanghai City. This is a municipality directly responsible, accountable to the State Department, and 3 other provinces that include Jiangsu Province, Zhejiang Province, and Anhui Province. So these so-called 4 4 regions, or 4 entities that it's a conglomerate of that. We call it the Yangtze Delta region. So that region has a population close to 236 million population. That accounts for about 17% of the nation total. And it's one of the most intensive R&D activities happens in this area, close to about 130 billion research and development spending. That includes the public sector, private sector, and all that, right? So spending together, it accounts for about 30% of the nation. So, and the GDP in this area is around $4 trillion in 2023. So that accounts for 25% of national GDP compared to 17% of the population. So this is relatively, above average in terms of GDP per capita, as you can see. And the foreign companies like this region, and is manifested by over 40% of the foreign direct investment are focused in this area. So, and in 2023, that's about $58 billion of US dollars are invested in this region. So that gives you a snapshot of where, this region. And the second one is there's unique advantages of this place. So I don't know if you guys know this, there's Comprehensive National Science Center. So two of them, one in Shanghai, the other is in Hefei. That's where University of Science and Technology is located. And Shanghai is one, and Hefei is the other. So in China also, 3 lines of innovations depending on which areas you focus on. There are national labs, state key labs, and reputable universities. So, and the numbers are like 6 national labs. These are very high rank, very large national labs. And state key labs, like over 100 of state key labs, and 37 reputable universities, out of which, this is probably the best universities, just a little bit, in terms of funding, just below Beijing University and Tsinghua University. And then the next tier universities, best universities are pretty much all located in this area. And there are very, very large critical science and technology infrastructures, include hard X-rays and, fusion, and a lot of these very, very highly invested equipments that for you to do, conduct very costly and very demanding experiments are located in this area. 25 of them. If you have interest, we'll tell you. And there are leading industrial clusters. So this is very important. Basically it has the entire supply chain of the industry. For example, biomedical related, you have, AI discoveries, chemical discovery, chemical synthesis, drug synthesis, and then fermentations. That includes also probably, pharmaceuticals, and then mass productions, and even CROs, and all the chain of every segments of the industry is complete. So we call that industrial clusters. So there are 5 clusters leading the nation in this region. That includes, biomedical materials, advanced manufacturing, information technology that primarily integrates circuits, and energy and sustainability. And those 5 clusters are best in the nation. Very complete supply chains. There are over 10 million high-tech companies in this area. So it's a very, very thriving startup culture in this area. 29% of the nation high-tech companies are here. Now, if you know, there is a stock market called STAR, the Shanghai Technology, Shanghai stock market or something like that. I don't even know what that stands for, but it is for the high-tech companies get listed. So the listed companies in STAR in this area is about 233. Basically, you have the ticket to raise money from the market to further develop your companies. That's over 46.5% of the nation. So half of it. That tells you there's a very innovative culture in this area. They embracing the advanced technologies and stuff. So this is also the nation's most foreign company populated region. You won't notice too much of a cultural shock if you're a foreigner landing in this area. So something, these are some unique advantages of the Yangtze Delta. So now, what is NICE? NICE actually has two legal entities, one in Jiangsu, the other is in Shanghai. These are two areas. It's a not-for-profit, applied research organization and a high-tech investor in China. So if I can make myself clear, I want to, we're not trying to raise money or anything. We want to invite achievers, problem solvers, entrepreneurs, students, who has a desire to embed yourself in the industry that you're interested in into this region and pursue a career. So we have an annual operating budget close to 200 million USD per year, which translates to about 1.5 billion RMB per year. So these are decent numbers for it has a decent size. If there's some great ideas, that something can be done. And so this is, this NICE is jointly established by the Shanghai municipality and Jiangsu. In the future, Zhejiang and Anhui is going to join. That's going to, so this is still work in progress. And it is an integrated management structure, allows the two teams, or in the future, 4 teams to work seamlessly together. So this is a unified operation model. And the two, of course, has very different, the grandfather is Jitri, which is Jiangsu Institute of Technology, Industrial Technology Research Institute. The other is Shanghai, which was, established 8 years later. So this is where I'm sitting. I'm sitting actually in this office, 14th floor. So the NICE is trying to serve as 2 bridges, virtual bridges. One is to invite global innovation community, into the Yangtze Delta. The other one is try to bridge anything that in the innovation from academia to the industry. So we're proud to do so. And our job is to reduce the risks during this transfer or translation and amplifying opportunities. In a little bit, I'll show you how we do that. And we try to be the first stop or the launch pad for the overseas innovators, to succeed in China. Now, if let's say, nice in numbers, let me show you these are the how we conduct business. We have over 100 R&D platforms. In that, we mean institutes we established and being a minor stakeholder in the R&D platforms. If there is a common theme in a certain industry that needs research and investment, we will establish a research institute to do that. So far, we have established over 100 of them, and that mainly in advanced materials, energy, environment, manufacturing, biomedicine, and ICT, so-called information and communication technology. We work with industries. We establish over 500 industrial partnerships. So the way we do so is we establish joint labs with them. So if you, for example, if you have a company, you have a product, okay, and we will be able to produce and promote those products through our channels into these so-called leading companies. You could call them key opinion leaders of their respective supply chains. So, and we have innovation networks established also. We have a strategic partnership worldwide with R&D institutes and universities, and the number is growing. Right now is at 180 strong. For the 100 R&D platforms and the companies we funded, we started the smaller startups. now employs over 16,000 researchers in the applied R&D field. And these 16,000 people are working on industry or market-oriented problems. They're trying to solve those problems. So these are the ones that we invite to come in. So I want to showcase to you how we work with overseas partners. Okay, now that could be students, could be entrepreneurs, could be anybody who has an interest to pursue a career here. We do so either you can land it in Yangtze Delta to pursue something, or you can do so overseas. Now these are our offices in Silicon Valley. You can do that in Toronto, in Houston. I have the QBio mainly for biomedical related incubations. We recently established UK in Cambridge Science Park. And we also have, we work with Harvard to do aging. We established an aging institute to work with them. And our crowd investment platform is in very soon it's going to be in Dubai. And we also work with Japan on several other things. So as you can see, I'm sorry, this is also in Copenhagen, in Denmark. So we have offices all over the place. If you anywhere close to you, and then if that's the area places you like to pursue a career, that would be fine with us as well. Or you can strictly land it in the Yangtze Delta, and that'll be even more close to us. So just to summarize, we work with startup teams and high-tech companies. We work with multinational companies. We also work with university and research institutes. So for startup teams and high-tech companies, we either incubate, we invest in them. Okay, so generally we provide market channels, IP protections, business model formulation, and so-called market introduction is the channels that we help them to establish into the KOLs of the supply for their industrial chain. And we also can help overseas high-tech companies land in China. That means we take care of the managerial burdens for them, and we also what would I say, help them in faster adaptation to the Yangtze Delta region. And in a little bit, I'll show you one example from Netherlands, called Soeks. They are the ones making very high precision platforms, moving platforms, and then they're growing very fast. So second, if you're a multinational company, which I assume today's you probably we don't have audience in that area, we can provide R&D services. There's a huge need right now for the multinationals to domesticize or localize their supply chains, and then we can help them with that. And I don't think even there's any frictions between the nations that shouldn't stop the bilateral flow of businesses. And then the companies, multinational companies, still need to conduct their businesses in overseas. So to comply, we'll try to find help them to establish supply chains, localize their supply chains. For universities, we support partner university and institutes to carry out joint R&D, training, and technology transfer projects. For example, if the university has projects trying to, their market is in Yangtze Delta, we would happily help them to do so. And that'll help sort of like a startup team in that way. Or for students who wants to pursue an internship, or they want to have a industrial experience in a leading companies in the Yangtze Delta, we not only provide opportunities to help them find placement, we probably can also provide fellowships or scholarships for them to do that at all levels, from undergraduate co-ops to graduate placements, internships, short ones like 3 months, 4 months, to longer ones, a couple of years. all welcome to, we can accommodate. So let me just quickly go through a few examples. So for startups, like we say, we provide funding supports, and these are generally on the order of anywhere between $500,000 to $4 million or so US dollars, depending on the size of the projects. And we help you until your next round fundraising. Okay, so that's something that we provide. And we also have very pleasant working spaces that if you have you don't want rent or anything, so that's what we can provide. And we also can provide managerial, for example, legal supports, manager supports, front desk supports, and all that stuff. So we will have that. And most important of all is industrial networks. And there's no other organization like this. If you really have something, we can quickly, probably a matter of days, getting you in front of decision makers of your customers or your suppliers. So those are the things that so this is one example of how we fund a startup company. This is not from overseas. It's a domestic team. This is a guy, he's a PhD from metallurgy major, and he used to work for Baowu steel industry. So that's one of the largest in the world. It specializes in high strength steel. So, and in the past, they used to use average steel to hold as a fastener for batteries for the car, and later on, to reduce the weight, they changed into high strength aluminum, but that cost went up really very high. So Baosteel started having very high strength steel. So the guy realized he can use much thinner steel to replace aluminum. It ends up with relatively similar or even lighter weight with stronger hold. And so he started his company, and we helped them to establish this company. We invested $5 million in 2020. So, this is like 3 or 4 years later. The revenue right now, it exceeds $36 million in 2026, and then expect to grow to 55 million in 2024. Just to give you an example, or some ideas, with the sales of 36 million, if you look at the PS somewhere in China right now, reasonably, five, that means the company right now has a market cap close to 180 million. And this is fantastic for a company, for this, Dr. Yan. And this could be you, could be any startup companies who wants to be an entrepreneur in this region. And we also work with university professors. This is a very typical one from Arizona State University. So this is Professor Bruce Redman, and he has done some fantastic work in water or water treatment and stuff. So in 2022, we jointly and a local industrial park funded him to establish so-called Jiangsu Redman Eco-Environmental Technology Company. Okay, so right now this his systematic approach to water treatment, wastewater treatment technology, has in the States there wasn't resources to do it, but we supported him right now. This is one of the landmarks in the region, and then it started to show socioeconomic impacts in this area. So this is a picture showing the factories being established. And this is the company called Soeks Technology from Netherlands. So this is how we work with small businesses. Now, Soeks is a supplier to lithography tools. If any of you in the audience knows what this is about, it needs very, very precise, high precision, fine movement of stages, and we're talking about on the order of nanometers precision. So, but it's very niche market. So Soeks doesn't have a whole lot of market in Netherlands. It was so then they branched out in China. They didn't really know anybody could help them. And so they found us. We actually helped them to build a company in Suzhou. Right now, 2017, he was honored by the Jiangsu province and also by the president of China. Right now, this company grew to over 200 people. It's unbelievable growth, and they become a supplier to a lot of manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, information technology companies. Becomes a very integral part of. So this branch in Suzhou becomes a very integral part of the Chinese precision manufacturing supply chain. We can also facilitate market-driven innovation through cross-border collaboration. This shows you University of Technology of Sydney works with a company called CISD Shanghai Engineering. Somebody, if you can read Chinese, you'll notice this is one of very large companies. So right now we're trying to recycle a lot of these waste metals, and some of these metals are very weird shapes, and we have to use robotics to deal with them, cutting them and do all that stuff. So NICE provided part of the fundings along with CISD, and in partner with a university like UTS professors, it has approached to do so. And then we also work with a robotic company. So we pull the three parties together and come up with a robotic solution. And right now, this is being implemented already in the industry. And I think the deployment is on the order of 50 of these robotics. You probably can sort of take a wild guess of this, how much sales this was. It's a matter of 2 years or so. So this is something that, for those of you who has an innovative idea but did not have the resources to do so, and we can also facilitate some of that to work. So, I'm not going to talk too much of it. Just now, I did say that there's a lot of, foreign companies like this place. As you can see, there's quite a bit of names you can recognize, like Siemens, DuPont, Philips, Shot Glass, right? So these are the companies who comes in here, Panasonic, of course. They come here, they want to domesticize, they want to localize their supply chains, because some of the supplies doesn't, if gets sanctioned or prohibited because of export control something, you do not have global supply chains, so I have to do so from China or from some countries that's not bound by such restrictions. Now we try to help them to do that, and then we can also establish joint innovation labs so they can develop that by themselves. Now I'm not going to talk too much about this. So this is with Harvard. We also establish a global aging, so-called social technology for global aging initiative. So we're funding with a very decent amount, and we believe this is a theme that's going to be very important. So that's one of the things that we work with Harvard School of Engineering. So this becomes one of the last slides. I think I'm going to be done with my presentation. Is how we work with university and research institutes, probably very relevant to our audience today. And we, just now we said, we have established over 100 R&D research institutes. We also have over 500, partnering companies. These are the leading companies in China. We also have funded over 100 teams who wants to pursue businesses or entrepreneurial careers in China. These all becomes very thriving innovative environment for students to attach themselves in, right? So, and then we can work with overseas partners in terms of joint R&Ds, contract research, technology transfer, and joint training programs. Joint R&D could be, just now I showed with UTS, right? We can, if there's a need from an industry, and let's say University of Minnesota has a solution to do so, we could, subsidize the companies to work with the university professor in University of Minnesota. And that's a joint R&D we can do. And we can also do contract research if, these are the, similar to a bidding game, like in a construction business. So, we have a call for proposal, and different teams come in with approaches, and the chosen ones gets the contract. And we can also license certain technology from technology. We can transfer technology into if such activities allowed. And I think we can work with the technology transfer office, knowledge transfer office from the universities, if they deem some of these technologies transferable, and then can find a great market in China. And the training program, last time I did talk to Haiying also about accepting students from the university, and for interns, for on-the-job trainings, for co-ops, and even establish a endowed fund in some ways to do so. Since I'm also a proud alumni of University of Minnesota, so, and we're trying to also work with university, establish campuses in China. For example, university so let's say University of Minnesota China campus can also be established here, and then we can also explore that possibility. So, we have cases with National University of Singapore, and recently we established University of Imperial College London, and also with University of Surrey at UK, and these are all very well established relationships, and multiple research contracts are going on right now. So I think I'm probably gonna stop here. If any of you have interest, we can talk more about it. But these are more like case studies, and I'm at the time of my at a point of where I run out of time. So I probably make this following 15 minutes more interactive. If the audience has any questions, that this can be a lot more open. Any questions you have, I'd like to answer. Okay. Hi, thank you.
Thank you, Alex, and thank you
Yeah.
for getting up so early and give us such a great presentation about NICE and then the ecosystem for startups in Yangtze Delta. So I think questions will be coming in the next few minutes. I do have a question for you. So do you think, are there any emergent industries or technologies that you see as key growth areas in the Yangtze region over the next?
I think what should I say? Practically, I would see the anything related to biomedical. It could be therapeutics. It could also be biomedical equipments. That's a very, very heavy, strong interest in China. Is in the Yangtze Delta. Okay, and it has a very good ecosystem as well. You literally can find any supporting structure you want. Okay, so that includes precision machining if you want to do equipment, and then if you want to do like small molecules, plenty of synthesis facilities around. If you want to look at proteins or RNAs or DNAs, there's plenty of innovators and fermentation, molecular biology kind of facilities around, and people even help you with legal aspects of things. And it's very much promoted by the Shanghai municipality and Jiangsu municipality. So that industry is emerging, and I would even say booming. So that's one. The other ones are, of course, was a localization or domesticization of the information technology, but it's somewhat restricted. So it's sensitive and all that stuff. So although it's booming, but I'm not sure it's quite available to everybody around the globe. Environmental wise, I think the market is right now have a headwind. for the the so-called new EVs and photovoltaics. It's getting a lot of headwind, but innovations in those areas, in is also quite good. We are still investing in those areas. So if people have interest in those areas, we can certainly kind of look at those. Sustainability is a big deal. For example, the wind turbines, the blades of wind turbines, 10, 15 years, when the turbine blades are fatigued and needs to be cut up. Okay, so we gotta have to recycle those. Those are gigantic structures, right? Photovoltaic infrastructure, we gotta have to recycle those. So sustainability is a big deal. If there's interest or innovative ideas, solutions, those are very much welcome. Okay.
Thank you. Here's a question coming from our audience. How does IP ownership unfold in your projects? Do your collaborators in China insist on joint ownership or of patent rights for technologies brought to the table by the foreign partners?
In NICE IP is very much respected. We actually generally, if you're, I don't know the context of this question. If you're a small business owners, or if you're a team trying to establish something, we generally establish a company with you owning over at least 70% or more shares of that company, and the ownership belongs to that, the IP ownership belongs to that company. Now, if you work with another company, okay, if you work with another company, generally who invents it, who owns it. That's generally how it goes. But if that company is one segment of the supply chain, or once, if becomes your channel or your application partner, they probably want to own the application side of the IP. Or there's can be a IP licensing deals or arrangements can be made. So I know where your concern is, but I think the IP situation maybe in other areas is kind of pretty bad, but maybe I wouldn't say bad, it's concerning, but in the Yangtze Delta region is actually quite respected. I think the risk is not, is less about patents, but it's more concerned in terms of know-hows. So, and I don't think that's a very good solution for every nation, right? So those are carried by people. With staff turnover, know-how generally gets leaked out, and I don't think there was a very good solution yet. This is not a problem just for China. I think it's for every innovative economies probably face this problem, which is the disclosure of know-hows with staff, departing the company or joining your competitors. I think that's need to be somewhat implemented from business side. If you're talking about patents and all that, it's very well respected. And it probably subject to your, at least NICE doesn't want to own your IP. If that IP is yours, NICE does not want to own your IP. You have it nice and sound in your vault. But if you work with a partner, I think that's a business arrangement. You need to talk to them. But based on my knowledge, it's generally who invents it, who owns it, whoever owns that segment of the business, they probably wants the ownership of that segment. Okay, so that's my answer in short terms.
Thank you. So as a University of Minnesota alum, what advice would you give to those aspiring young entrepreneurs and innovators?
Well, I'm not quite sure I'm so successful in giving you that comments or giving you any advices. But being a veteran, I can say a few words. You see a lot of these, life wisdoms. Look at Elon Musk, right? And look at Jason Wang. Jason Huang and others. Well, they're very smart, very wise people. But you know, based on my personal experience, you know, you gotta have to try new things. Okay, being bold, you know, not afraid of failing. And those are things you are, you know, certainly needs to be engraved into your personalities. And but I think building a University of Minnesota is building us a very strong foundation, especially if your advisor is very tough. Okay, so train yourself well, and that toughness and sense of inadequacy and perseverance is going to carry you a long way in your career.
Okay, thank you very much, Alex.
I don't know,
for-
did I answer that question or not, but I don't know if I answered.
That was a great answer. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for giving this presentation. And then I would like to thank everyone for coming to the last webinar of the year of 2024. I hope we will continue offering monthly Considering China webinars starting in January. So see you in the next.
I welcome all the friends, especially for today, anybody who have seen this, seeking investment, you know, or funding opportunities, seeking markets, seeking partnerships, seeking internships, seeking, you know, embedding into the industry, getting a face-to-face with industry, to contact us. We
Okay.
would love to receive you.
Thank you, Alex. And thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
See
Thanks,
you.
Joan. Make sure you guys in Shanghai give me a buzz, okay?
We'll do that. Thank you so very much. Happy New
Thank
Year,
you.
everybody.
Yeah,
Happy
have a good
holidays,
day.
and see you next.